is now a meeting of the Board of Directors, Human Resources Committee. And the time is, how I said that?
1:33.
1:33. Why don't we start off with a call to order, and which I just did. Next step is to look at the approval of minutes. Are there any questions or motions to be considered by the board member? Hearing none, I will assume that it can be accepted as presented. The next item is the retirees medical reimbursement plan. And that will have a presenter for that, Dr. Patel.
Good afternoon. So retiree medical reimbursement plan is for the MES employees who are not part of the state pension and retirement system. We have few employees still grandfathered in there, but most of the MES employees will be covered by this retiree medical reimbursement plan based on the number of years of service. So basically, in your package, you have the resolution which lists the history. This plan started in 1998. There was revisions to the terms and conditions in 2006 and 14. The last revision was in 2019, which increased the limits for a maximum benefit per year. It is per calendar year based on these IRS reimbursement rules also. Here, you have the Exhibit A, which has all the red line changes. There are changes in the amounts and the effective date. So what the proposal is asking for board to approve that the changes will be effective for employees retiring after January 1, 2026. We are proposing that for each bracket, for 15 years of service, 20, 25, and 30 years of service, we increase the bracket by $500 per year. As I mentioned, in 2019 was the last revision. So we are making the new maximum limits by increasing 500. We did hired a consulting firm who does our actuarial calculations because we need to do these calculations every year as a part of our audit. And they did the calculations, what is the effect of this if we increase the limits. The effects are minimum at the beginning because it will be resolutions as approval for future retirees. So we're gonna have, very few retirees in this year, next year. It will increase as the number of years pass, but the increase is not significant. So we say the immediate effect will be about $5,000. Actual calculation is $4,667. The future, in 10 years, it will be $28,000. But as you go, more, it will reach in the 20 years, 75,000 additional costs per year because more and more employees will be retiring. So this change of increasing $500, number one, we haven't done it in almost last 5 years. The health care costs are rising faster than even what we are proposing. Therefore, we asked board to approve this resolution based on the factors I mentioned above. One of the board members, Mr. Coleman, asked a question. He's not present, but I'll answer that question also at this time, and then we'll proceed. Mr. Coleman asks, I would like to understand why the amounts are only being increased for future retirees, because here we are proposing for new retirees. Is that a possibility of increasing amounts for current retirees as well? Two reasons. as I mentioned, the resolutions, previous resolutions also increased the amount, and it was always effective for the new employees who are retiring. It is not the hard and firm reason that, we cannot change it, but the actuarial study, when we employ the actuarial firm, we mentioned that we're gonna increase for the future employees. So their whole study was based on the future retirees. So at this time, since this is the study is already completed, it does not have a major effect on the MES. So we can certainly change in the future, but we don't have the data right now to present to the board what will be the exact effect. So that's Mr. Coleman's question and my explanation. So, are there any other questions?
Yes. I'll start there. What I get is that you're actually making the current people who have retired get a reduction in their income.
Well, they are getting the current retirees who are already there. They're already getting this old limits.
Old limits.
Correct.
But some things have gone greater than the old limits in terms of getting income.
Correct.
So can you look at the case of the existing ones? I know it wasn't in the report that we did. Why don't we go back and do that so we can look at that and speak to it in a way that is responsive to what I think that Coleman was talking to.
Definitely, we can get the study done.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Let me see. Board members, questions, comments?
I don't have a question, but a comment. I agree with Dr. Johnson on the desire to at least understand what that impact is for existing retirees, and just at least understanding it so that we would be able to make a defensible decision.
Noted.
So can we ask that you have a answer to that in the next meeting, which will be in June?
June, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely about June. I thought you meant next.
No, you're not here. You can't even vote. Yeah, so if that's the case, can I get a motion, board member, for that to be done? That the impact on existing retirees, and secondly, to have it to a response for June of 2026. Can I get a motion for that for a member?
So moved.
I have a question. Is this a motion to recommend to the full board, or is this a motion for approval of the committee?
Only to the committee.
Okay.
You can ask questions and things like that, but you can't make a question or vote. All right.
I'll second.
Hold on, we're having technical difficulties and that someone has taken over my screen. Huh? That is not even on my screen. That's Casey's screen.
I can go.
Stop sharing.
We're looking at technology challenges. Just hold on a minute.
What's going on, Pam?
We're seeing your screen.
What the heck?
Teams chat.
Did you know what you said on that?
I'm seeing the administrative group meeting
I can't even see
team
that.
chat window. I don't know. That's not even online.
That's not mine. Hold
We
on.
never saw that online either.
Oh,
We just saw it went back to the room and then it went back to the slide.
okay, so weird. Okay. Well, that's good at least. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Right.
The second on that, I'm sorry. Miss Bowen. Okay. And that's,
Okay.
I'm sorry, with the technical difficulties, that was a motion to take this to the
Stay in
floor or
committee.
just
No, stay in committee.
stay in committee. Okay.
back with analysis.
Does that mean that?
Next item is to look at performance-based compensation. I'm not asking that, that Dr. Glass give us information for us to go back and do things, but I think it's important that we understand where data of some of the things we have to do in the future. So everybody has a copy of the whole manual, and if, you know, and so you can look at that, but he'll give us an overview, and if you have some questions and looking at things, he'll be here to answer questions, so we can help us get the answer. Dr. Glass?
Thank you, Dean Johnson. And I'm coming up on 5.5 years, and probably about 3 years ago, I'd have to check that. I didn't check that fact. We wanted, and we've been working on presentations of core systems to be in a language that can be understood by all our staff, and to explain our compensation model along with our benefits package. So this serves as an overview of this model. So you have the time of the year and how we're going through our evaluation of staff. One side note, I don't know how many of you are in organizations that allow staff to ask for raises at any moment in time. I found that to be quite annoying when I first got here, because it became an ad hoc reclassification process that could happen any day, month of the year, and then it became a favoritism or who's the squeakiest wheel scenario, not a evaluation based on who's bringing the most value to the organization. So I tried multiple times with former HR chiefs to do this. In the end, all respect to Ms. Dolliner, who helped took my re-outline and draft concepts and drafted this compensation administration guidelines. Then we handed it over to comms, and they produced this product. I wanted to talk about this first before talking about the performance-based compensation, so that you see our year through this product. Next slide. So we are a labor-based organization. That is how our revenue really is derived. Our revenue is not derived by making any widgets or by processing capital funds for our own capital equity. So this building and the water treatment plant up in northeastern Maryland, Darlington, are about the only things we physically own. Everything else, we're operating someone else's facility. We want to attract and retain and motivate a motivated, talented employee staff. We do view ourselves, or at least I view ourselves, as a training organization. We want equitable and competitive pay by doing our biannual class and compensation study, which we have one that's going on right now. We make sure we're aligned every 2 years. We believe in our mission, and we have our entire performance measurement system with our strategic plan followed by KPIs. And diversity, equity, and inclusion are written into our statute. And so we stand by those beliefs that everyone should feel as though they belong and are welcome to join our team. Next slide. So how do we go about this? You see in our presentations that we are robustly recruiting from throughout the region. We evaluate our position descriptions and exactly what the jobs are. We do tweak those internal org charts all the time. However, we have grades for compensation, and they generally follow the hierarchy of our org chart. Our bands are quite large per grade, so there can be overlap between people that have many, many years of service with a higher salary that some of them may manage them. But that is because our people with many, many years of service have institutional knowledge and knowledge of our clients that is rewarded. We have a performance evaluation system that is supposed to be continuous. And of course, we comply with all laws and regulations in the state and the federal government. So we have these structured position descriptions that are based on grades. Generally, they flow up as you go up the grade schedule from OIT entering all the way up to a grade 13, and then the executive class with 3 levels. We have our salary card every year that's maintained. We have moved to adjusting the salary card to take into consideration salary compression. And all of these are approved by the board of directors. Next slide. So how do we go about our process on an annual basis? The performance-based compensation is in line with our annual evaluation of every employee, including yours truly. So about mid-March, if I remember correctly, maybe early March, we start the process led by the Human Resources Department, and every single employee is evaluated. They do a self-evaluation, then they are evaluated by their supervisor or manager. Then it goes through a process, all now electronic inside of Workday, where the managing director gets to review all of them and make sure they're appropriate. That leads to the performance-based compensation that is awarded the first week of July each fiscal year. That is in line with the budgets that we've had agreements with for our long-serving clients. So those budgets are in line with the salaries that we are awarding July 1st. Then, as you have just experienced, we have the Building Excellence and Success Program, and that yields a bonus that is a flat bonus for everyone that was shared. This year was $5,600, except for the executive class. Also, there's Best Plus and the executive incentive. They're all part of a bonus structure that just occurred last week. The one time of year that we have in-grade reclassifications is coming up. So in December, everyone that's been evaluated since that last July, the managing directors for each of the groups can select up to 10% of their staff to receive in-grade reclassifications of 5 to 10%. And those are started, those salary increases occur generally in late January, early February, and they obviously have to be done in congruence with the budgets that we have, both overhead and obviously project-based budgets are taken in consideration when all of those adjustments are made. And by that point in time, we're gearing up for the cycle to happen again. So by the time we're done with reclassifications in January, we're just a couple short months away from reevaluating every single person in the organization. And if they meet their performance criteria, they are awarded performance-based compensation at the beginning of the year. So it was structured in my engineering mind to be a minimum of 3 times that staff could possibly have an anticipation of receiving things. We also have, next slide, we also have other benefits that are unique that I'll reach in a little bit. I forgot about this slide. So we have acting capacity. It's not always implemented. Sometimes when there's a vacancy, the supervisor will just take the load. Last year as a transition with deputy, we did not have anyone act. Oftentimes acting can give someone a distinct advantage. If it's not a role that can't be covered by the supervisor, we oftentimes save revenue and just survive. There is a multi-level approval process that comes all the way to me. We also instituted, Ms. Heller, Chair Heller would have to help me with this, had an epiphany and developed career ladders about 4 years ago. So there are approximately 11 positions in that administration guidelines that describe at least a 7 or 8 year period where new staff are incentivized to study and learn and get their certifications, and they are awarded raises as long as the budgets allow them to be promoted. The career ladder promotions are not automatic per se. They're not just on an annual basis, but once people have that training and education commensurate with another level, they can be approved as soon as the finances merit their getting the raise. So career ladders were instituted also through the board, through this compensation administration guidelines, and is another vehicle to incentivize staff to continue to get training and education. Next slide. So this we just recently did in 2025. It's actually a whole benefits guide to some of the unique benefits of being an MES employee. So you know about tuition assistance and our health and retirement benefits. Mr. Patel leads the management of the portfolio that yields the capability to pay those OPEB, other post-employment benefits through medical. So he expressed that we have an actuarial accountant that evaluates it. We have a separate investment of funds, approximately $10 million, that yields enough return to pay for these retirements healthcare benefits. So that actuarial calculation is very critical in making sure that it is in the black, unlike most OPEB relationships in other government entities or some. So I just wanted you to make sure that everyone knows there's a portfolio behind that, and that is separate from everything with the state. And it's, in essence, a small team here manages that. And we get great information from our financial consultant. We got paid leave and holidays, the BEST program, and EEO diversity, of course. We also have, I don't know if some of the new board members may not be familiar with this. We also have 2 times a year where annual leave and comp time can be sold back to the agency, up to 120 hours per year in the fall or the spring. And it is another benefit for long-serving MES employees. We also have sick leave buyback. So if someone doesn't use their sick leave and they use comp time or annual leave in lieu of sick leave, you can sell back up to 3 days of sick leave. And that's all laid out in our benefits guide if anyone ever wants to look at it. Next slide. All right, so I really described a lot of this in advance, but performance-based compensation is truly evaluating the value each teammate brings to the organization. It is not per grade, per level automatic. There are generally rules like 4%, 3%, 2%, 0, or 3%, 2%, 1%, 0, based on the score you receive out of 5 points on this evaluation. So as we go into this season, if someone scores, let's say, below a 2, they will get nothing. They will get this is not a COLA. This is not a cost of living adjustment in July 1st. This is the employee has performed. If they perform at above a 4.0 value, then they will most generally, they will get the highest level raise. So it is not guaranteed every year. I believe my first year, we didn't do it. It is based on how the organization is performing and how the individuals are performing. So we do our best to manage our clients, especially our long serving clients and our clients that we have incredible relationships with. However, there are times when the money just may not exist. So that's why it's performance-based compensation, not the grade system of the regular state agencies, so that we can balance those billable clients' needs with the organization and attracting great talent. Next slide. So typically in July, meets expectations are required. Exceeding expectations lead to a greater increase, and those are the direct terms from the evaluation process. And the treasurer and I and the deputy treasurer really leads the charge, have to identify that it's affordable. We have a great diversity of clients. We do get feedback on some rates, right? We have some clients that are state clients that have capital programs that we're really working for. That's a different flexibility than a small municipality. So we do our best to balance all of that, but also to make sure that we have the talent to meet the needs of all these clients. Next slide. Yes. So we work on morale. You see our top workplaces results over the years. We've worked on this morale. There is obviously our mission and the training that we give people, that we want people to continually improve so that they are committed to the excellence that we want to live by. And we also want to make sure that everyone understands that ultimately we are accountable to our clients and how we deliver our services in order to keep this great thing going on. So those are all the incentives that we do our best to convey to our staff and educate them on. There are a lot of folks that, because there's so many details, even when I was first onboarded and the things I knew about MES as a state employee before, my first year, I did not know about all of these benefits. And it took time. Like Mr. Patel did not tell me on day one, all of them. It's almost like you have to experience them. But there are great benefits that our long-serving staff take advantage of. And next slide. I think that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Any questions as it relates to understanding the process and not necessarily trying to redo it or anything, but
Yeah.
any questions?
That's Ms. Phillip.
Ms. Phillip?
Hello. Thank you very much. This is super helpful, and I do think it's probably would be helpful to see the handbook, just because more information helps me understand how this is communicated. Is that something that I'd be able to see?
Of course, but the guidelines, the compensation administration guidelines, that first green one was sent in this material package.
Yep.
By Ms. Fuller in an earlier email.
Yeah.
The benefits package, I don't know if that was sent, so we can make sure we get the benefits guide that we just produced out to you as well.
I'm
So
looking at what I have here. Okay. I must have not opened the second one. So that might be why. Okay. And I've seen the best workplace kind of stamp of approval. This program, is it as clearly understood and appreciated, or do you have a good sense of that?
I need you to repeat that question real quick. I don't understand. Is our compensation administration guidelines well understood by whom? By our staff or?
Yes, by staff.
I believe that yes, I believe it is pretty well understood by our staff that have been here for more than a year. I don't believe it's presented in onboarding. I go over some of it when I'm in onboarding. However, I know HR does a great job of explaining our entire package.
Okay.
However, and I can say that over the years since we've been doing the surveys, that the questions related to human resources have reached a point where they are minimal.
Okay.
Where early on, almost the entire survey, Dr. Gross has no relationship to this, were 50% human resource related, benefits related. So yes, I think that most staff have a good understanding of our benefit.
I think that everybody should know something about it, because you set your goals of what you want to do based on what's going to give you some return, rather than getting no return because you didn't know that was what they were going to measure you by. So hopefully, individuals will understand it during the evaluations when it happens, and also when your request for questions or suggestions, also they will participate rather than saying nothing and then later on saying, "Oh, I wish I'd known that." So let's make that as public as possible. And all that's online also. And so the higher you are, the more you know. So let's do that. Other questions? Okay, so that kind of fits what I had in mind, that we all understand what others are doing and how we have impact, because data we get out of that goes into some of the things that we do as a board, as a committee and a board. Okay, next is the HR policies for review and program. And this is Dr. Rose. As you might do that, tell me as a piece to introduce how you determine this group versus that group to be among those that will be evaluated.
Sure. So good afternoon, everyone. As I believe everyone knows, I am still fairly new to the agency. I'll be 8 months next week. And as a part of my own onboarding, I've been doing some deep diving into all facets of HR, which included looking at all of the HR policies. So I looked at all of the policies, looked at them in alignment with COMAR, in alignment with current practices, as well as best practices overall, and made some recommendations. Those recommendations were grouped in categories based on edits that we could make to be in alignment with COMAR, some that could be made in order to be alignment with overall regulations and best practices, and others to just help us be an even better employer than we already are.
So the case is there's a driver that's changed externally that has an impact on us.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's also a case where it's just better to do it even though nobody else is doing it. So how do we get those kind of persons? Do we do that every 5 months for everybody in case there's no changes in the regulations? But it may be something we want to do that will be helpful to us, to our employees.
So it's twofold. I follow closely both any changes in federal regulations, any changes related with Maryland regulations. I look at best practices through organizations such as Society for Human Resource Management, and listen to our employees and look and see what's happening, what type of questions we're getting, what type of problems we're regularly solving for.
I guess some of our consultants do things as it relates to trends, possible trends that you get information back to look at. So I just want to make sure we don't, those 3 or 4 things that were mentioned, that we're taking advantage of all of those. And sometimes it's okay to lead and nobody else is doing because you're better than they are.
Absolutely.
I got that. Please carry on.
Sure. So the policies that are presented today for review, again, as mentioned, some are to help us become in better alignment. Some are best practices to help us be even better employees than we already are. The first policy for your consideration is the nepotism policy. And with this particular policy, we clarified the language around the family members. We added in details as to what constitutes a personnel action and added very specific language about employees' inability to be involved in personnel actions concerning a family member.
Should we, committee members, should we look at this individually or go 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 at a time? Any? Okay.
No.
I have no preference.
So it's up to you how you want to vote. If you want to take a vote on each specific one to recommend it to the full board, or in the past, they've also talked about all of them and then voted in mass.
Yes.
It depends on what you prefer.
One, no reference. Any other references, or I don't, and we know what the options are. Go through all of them and then go and then approve those that we are okay with and take the other ones out to discuss. Why don't we take that particular one? We can move through that way and maybe only have 2 to have a discussion about rather than everyone having. So let's go to the second one. That was the problem. Yes, okay.
Sure. The next policy before you is the policy for the probationary period. With this particular policy, we removed language that referenced receiving a salary increase at the conclusion of the 6 months probationary.
Any questions? Not a vote, any questions before she goes to the next one?
I do. And just can you give clarity on the reason for that removal?
So we don't currently automatically offer a salary increase at the conclusion of a probationary period.
But could and then by referring to what Dr. Glass mentioned a while ago, just trying to keep the ad hoc under control. So that means that that's only through your regular process could people within the organization have the increase. Am I understanding that correctly?
So it would have to, anything outside of the ordinary process, of course, would require approval. And so by taking this language out, the thought is that it doesn't necessarily mean that in a special circumstance, the request can't be made. But what it does do is make certain that employees who are reading it may not say, hey, I'm doing an increase because I've completed the 6-month probationary period.
Thank you.
Next one.
Sure. With the next policy of reinstatement, we specified under section 4B number 2 that as it relates to annual leave accrual, all years of prior services will be credited. And this is specifically for employees who are returning to the agency.
Questions? Next.
The next policy is for internal applicants. And what we did here is we added under the procedure section, item 5A, to clarify that satisfactory performance in an individual's current role can be considered in determining if internal applicants are considered qualified for an open position.
Questions? And it's okay to raise your hand and start talking. I can be.
Yeah, so satisfactory, I hesitate to be the one to say, so satisfactory, is that a 75, like what constitutes satisfactory? What are the rankings?
Meeting expectations, meeting performance expectations.
Just meeting, not exceeding?
Yes, well,
We have
Sorry.
1 to 5, so
Mhm.
3 and above is satisfactory.
correct. So I'm not sure if you heard what Mr. Sharma just shared, but the performance ratings themselves go from 1 through 5, lowest to highest, and anyone who scores a 3 reaches the meets. And so in order to be considered for an internal qualification, your current performance may be a determining factor. And that would mean that you would have scored at least a 3.
Okay,
Is there a reason for maybe, not should be?
There could be certain circumstances where someone may perhaps be in a role where they may not be as successful in their current role, but there may be an opportunity that would allow their skills to be utilized better.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you. That was what was bothering me with satisfactory, and so you solved the problem. Thank you.
all right. Next,
Sure, the next is sorry. The next would be emergency essential duty. And with this particular policy, there were 2 things that we did under the procedures section. 3D, we gave some more specificity regarding the fact that emergency essential employees are not able to take advantage of some of the leave options when there is a state designated emergency. The other thing this policy is recommending is the addition of item F, which indicates that non-emergency essential employees should not report to a work site that has been declared as an emergency condition.
no questions, so we can go on.
I'm probably gonna make this last forever. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Don't do that, just forever.
I just always have questions because I am just that type of person, sorry. So prohibited, meaning your goal is this a safety-driven goal here?
Yes,
And so they would have had to have been classified as an emergency essential employee. Are there no situations where a non-emergency employee might be helpful here? So the thing that pops into my head is someone who's emergency needing someone to get them to the emergency site, and then that a non-emergency person is their resource.
sure. So there's not one designated list of every employee who has this title or is in this category is an emergency essential employee. And that is in part because different groups and different work sites would have different needs. So employees, managers or their management chain identify or indicate to them if they are indeed an emergency essential employee. So using the example that you just gave, a manager could designate that the employee who will be doing the driving for this particular emergency condition as an emergency essential employee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't forget what you
Not to
promised.
ask anything else.
Don't forget what you promised. Go ahead, next.
Sure. The next policy is the annual leave policy. Excuse me. And with this policy, two things were done. Under number 6, we just provided more specificity regarding how many hours of annual leave per year can be earned by an employee. As per Comar indicating that employees are only eligible to learn up to a certain number of hours based on their years of service. The other thing that was clarified or added was under section 7, where we indicated that it's by December 31st is the determining factor as to how many hours or when an employee's hours will be forfeited.
Questions Odessa, if you want to use me as a person to speak for you, let me know. Seeing no questions. Okay, let's go on.
I have actually had this situation in the past. And so end of the pay period, which includes December 31st, is a nuance that's actually important. When that pay period could roll over into January of the following year. So how do you account for that?
And so we go by December 31st, even though the pay period itself may extend into the next year. It's looking at the number that, looking at the accrual rate by December 31st, because the new rates begin in January.
So how do you help the employee pay attention to that, or you just kind of put that on them to pay attention to?
In terms of, do we say to them, hey, you have X number of hours that you may be forfeiting?
Yeah.
I will find out this year.
Okay.
What that right there.
If I
What we
can,
do, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, if I can, Commissioner. So for those that have been in service, you have to be in service for a while to accumulate over 600 hours. And our system, every time you take any form of leave, you go right to your annual leave balance. And so for those that are over 600 or over 120 with their comp time, which rolling goes, I don't have a relationship with the comp time because we don't, in the executive class, we only get 16 hours, but others get 120. That's just like regular state. People are highly cognizant and they can make the request that's at the end of the document. If for some reason they have been emergency essential or they have accumulated because they are in a critical role, they can then make this request for carryover. So then I can ask you all for carryover, but I generally use or lose. I do the using in December.
Thank you.
Okay, Next one, please.
Sure.
Sure.
Personal leave, this was just making sure that we updated what the actual leave, the days of personal leave were based on dates of hire.
Questions next? Please.
With jury duty, this is a process clarification, just indicating that the paperwork for having completed jury duty gets submitted to HR, who in turn makes sure that it is properly updated in the system.
Questions? Seeing none. Military leave.
With military leave, under procedures, section 5, number A or paragraph A, we added language to say that the employee will submit their request for leave at least 30 days prior or as soon as they become aware of training dates, because we recognize that not everyone will have 30 days of notice, as well as updating who receives that notification.
Seeing no hands or things. Teleworking. And
With
we'll go
tel-
back.
Sure.
After that, we'll go back and do overall. questions.
Okay. With telework, under section 3, we just indicated that not all positions are eligible for teleworking. And in section there was one other change. 15, yes, thank you. And section 15, we remove the indication that there would be, that supervisors could make visits to the telework location, which is generally people's home.
That means that we can't go to Glass's house. You want to, we can't do that.
I would
Have money
advise
as a
it.
part of that.
Well, we actually never did it. So we had this policy is not that old, but we've never inspected anyone's home. So it was a great suggestion from Dr. Gross because we don't have the bandwidth to check people's homes, but hopefully their supervisors are checking their work products.
And that's what's important.
Yep.
Good. Questions, comments on this one before we go back and look at the global piece? I don't think I see anything. All right.
Just one general with the, not that you should do a home inspection. Are there requirements for like internet security that are built into telework?
The CIO is here, he can talk about it, but yeah, we have a secure login, but I don't remember all the terms.
Yeah, so most of the work that we do is cloud-based. So they have to log into, like, for example, Workday, they're logging into the Workday system. And anytime they have to access, say, our shared drives, they have to log in through VPN. So we secure those accesses.
With multi-factor authentication, that's the term.
Correct.
Multi-factor authentication.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, for the board members, the question is, are there any of the policies we need to pull separate from the others and have a discussion? Or can all of them be done in one presentation? I mean, one approval? Any things you want to be pulled out?
I'm comfortable with moving them forward to the board as a unit.
Same. I asked all my questions now. See?
Yeah, but I know you. I'm getting to know you, let me say it like that. But, okay, so what I'm hearing is then, I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the listing of the 10 policies that we reviewed. And is there a promotion, I mean, is there a motion? Now, when I want you to speak, you won't speak.
I was getting my mute button together. I moved to move all items included here as a package for review and approval.
Second.
Second. It's been properly moved and second that the HR policies that we review be accepted. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand so we can see it too.
Aye.
Thank you. Everyone agree. So the next item we have is one on, we're going to move from here to a closed session. And there are certain cases under which we can do closed sessions, and I'm going to give you a summary of one that's specific to this one.
That's what that is.
In accordance with Maryland Code annotations and general provisions, we can meet separately to cover certain things. One of the things is that we're going to talk about today is the evaluation process that we're currently using to see whether anything can be over with that. But with that, if you have a question as an individual, you can go to our site, and you can then send us a question and we'll respond to it for those that are now with. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And but for those of you who are online, just stay there. They will tell you when you're turned over already.
We do a motion to go into closed session.
Did I get a motion to move over to into closure?
So you need us to move to go into closed session, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes.
I would move that we go into closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those approved say aye and show your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, just hold on and we'll be guided as to when we